What's up, team? Mike here, and today we're going to be talking about how you can initiate and lead deep, meaningful, life-changing conversation in your small group. We're going to be talking about the 3 social needs of every person, the 5 levels of sharing, as well as 3 types of questions. So let's get to it. Social need number 1, to belong. People want to feel like they belong. And we do that by hanging out early and often. Small group is more than a meeting, right? So you got to be hanging out so that people have a place to belong. Social need number 2, to be accepted. In order to be accepted, you have to be known. And so in your small group, how can you help people be known? How can you help them get to know each other? Well, it begins with things like history building, things like affirmations, really encouraging people for sharing, encouraging them for the things that you see in their life, asking interesting icebreaker questions, doing highs and lows, getting to know each other. Social need number 3 is to feel needed. Everyone wants to feel needed. If someone comes to your small group for a long time and they don't feel needed, they're just going to get bored and they're going to leave. So we need to empower them. We need to give them responsibility as well as authority so they feel like they're actually needed. They have something meaningful to add to the group, and they're not just coming week after week just to talk about things, but that they're actually being empowered and they feel needed. Well, next up, we want to talk about the 5 levels of sharing. First one is introductions, right? It's the questions that everybody asks everybody. You know, where are you from? What are you studying? What are your hobbies? It's the very basic, easy things to share. Lever number 2 of that is information and facts, that you're going beyond just the introduction questions to begin talking about the current events, talking about sports, talking about whatever, but you're kind of sticking to basic information and facts, kind of reporting what's going on, reporting things about your life, you know, your history of where you came from, and telling a little bit more information about how your life growing up without sharing a whole lot of your personal experiences or thoughts or feelings. Level number 3 is begin sharing ideas and thoughts, that it's about going beyond the facts a little bit. And now you're introducing ideas, you're giving your own thoughts on things. And so that is a great way to continue to go further up the level of sharing into greater intimacy, into greater vulnerability. Level number 4 is now it's about sharing your feelings. That you're not just sharing your thoughts and opinions, but you're sharing about how things make you feel, which can be a very difficult thing to do. Level number 5 is that you share without being asked. And this can be a really hard thing to do. As a leader, you need to be asking intentional questions. You help people share, you help people open up. But when people really reach level 5, that they are sharing their feelings about things without being asked, they're sharing their thoughts and ideas about how to do things better without being asked. And this is a great thing. This is a thing that every leader needs to learn to do. And so we need to be teaching this to the people in our small groups. And let me tell you, if you're ever in a relationship, it will be way more meaningful if you share your thoughts and feelings to your spouse or to your partner before they ask you. It will make them feel blessed and honored. So let's get good at that now in our small groups, and it will be a blessing to everyone around us. And you'll be a blessing to your team, you'll be a blessing to your employer, you'll be a blessing to your family and your friends if you can share without being asked. And lastly, I want to go over the 3 types of questions. Well, we have 1, personal questions. Like, these are things about people's lives. This is where we get to know people's values and what's important to them. It's kind of like these kind of more deep icebreaker questions, like, what do you most value in a friend? What would be your most ideal vacation destination? It's these things that help us to get to know people, and it can create a fun and meaningful conversation. The next kind of question is a spiritual but not a personal question. So a lot of times these can be focused on theology or something like that. An example of this would be, how do you define sin? And so you could talk about that for hours, right? Some people could, at least. But it's not very personal, or not necessarily. It can become personal, but at first it's not very personal. It's just like talking about a spiritual topic without really relating it to ourselves and our own experiences. And the third kind of question is spiritual and personal. And this is really where we want to spend the bulk of our time, because this is where the Holy Spirit works, when we open up about our lives while we're seeking the Lord together. And so questions like this could be, what is God teaching you recently? Have you ever had an encounter with the Lord? Like, what is going on in your life? What do you think God is speaking to you during this situation? And things like that, where it gets people to engage the spiritual, but also by examining what's going on in their life and opening up about what's going on in their life. So it's not just spiritual, it's not just personal, it's both. Don't get stuck talking about spiritual but not personal things, because these discussions rarely change people's hearts. They rarely change people's lives. Those conversations can be great icebreaker questions. They can be great questions to lead into the deeper conversation, but we really want to dwell on the spiritual and the personal. This is where God engages the heart and changes lives. Well, there you have it. Those are the 3 social needs of every person, the 5 levels of sharing, and the 3 types of questions you can be asking. And I believe that if we do that, God is going to move. God is going to move in your small group. God is going to move in this city, and God is going to change some lives. Do you believe it? I do. God bless you. Let's get after it.